Hello, I'm Angela Wales Rockett, and I am a fine artist. I'm a painter. I'm a painter of non-representational abstracts. This isn't really an easy art to make, and I know it's not really an easy art to understand either. And the reason I know this is because up until probably about 10 years ago, I didn't understand it either, and I basically thought that abstract art was all a big joke. So how did it become my primary way of expressing myself as an artist? Excuse me, I have to breathe. I've always been an artist. I think most artists can say that. I have strong memories going back through preschool, kindergarten, all the way through high school, painting, drawing. It followed me. I don't know what it was, but it always called me, and I always had to have something to do with art. I didn't listen to that call in a very serious way, though, for a long time, because I want to be a fine artist isn't really seen as a viable career option. But I always had to let it in my life somehow, and when I was in college, I found even another way to love art, and I got a bachelor's degree in art history. And I also kind of went through a period of, I stopped making my own art in favor of studying other people's art. And I went through a period right around then, graduating college, trying to figure out what do I want to do with my life, having jobs that I really didn't like very much, and not painting, and being pretty unhappy. And then I met my husband, and even before we even started dating, he became my muse. There was something about him that just drew the artist out of me. And I had to get my paints out again, and I started painting. And then with his encouragement and support, I applied for a master's program at Savannah College of Art and Design. But even then, I wasn't saying, I want to be a fine artist. I was saying, okay, I need to make this into a career somehow. So I decided to study illustration. And even though I really enjoyed my illustration classes, and I did well on all my assignments and everything, I didn't feel like I was really expressing myself as much as I thought I could, or as much as I wanted to. So I did catch a glimpse of a way to more fully express myself when I took classes that asked me to explore and experiment with new mediums and new techniques. But I always applied those back to representational work. I applied them back to illustration, not really realizing that those were pointing to a way for me to really express myself. Then one day, probably a year or two after graduating, I just got this vision, literally out of the blue. It was all about color and texture and emotion, and it had absolutely nothing to do with what I saw with my eyes. But it insisted on being painted. And I remember painting it over a series of days, almost as if I was in a trance, as if I was receiving a message from some other plane of existence. And I remember when that painting was finished, I felt something slide into place, something clicked, and I knew that I had found my way of expressing myself. I found why I had been called to be an artist for so long, even though I tried not to really listen to it. I had finally surrendered to that voice that was saying, I want to be a fine artist. I finally had an understanding of abstract art and what inspired it. And I realized it was my most authentic voice. I realized that for me, abstract work could be an expression of my soul, and it could be a way to deeply connect with other souls. It could be a way to express and communicate ideas that are just beyond the reach of the rational. And it could be my way to express my connection to the divine. That painting was the first of what I call my inner landscapes, and I've been painting abstracts ever since. And I can now say, like I did at the beginning, that I am a fine artist. Thank you.